Baba, you are old. Why speak of spirits and curses? I am young and beautiful. The gods themselves must favor me. Hands trembling as she looked at her reflection in a nearby pond. What is this that has happened to me? The woman who married all the men in the village. In the village of Arugbo, there was a woman named Iyanu. She was beautiful, too beautiful, some said. Her beauty turned heads wherever she went. Her skin glowed like the full moon on a clear night, and her eyes sparkled with mischief. Every man in the village dreamed of making her his wife. But there was a problem. You see, Iyanu didn't believe in being tied down to one man. She knew her worth, and in her heart, she felt she deserved more than just one suitor. She was the talk of the village. Why marry just one man? She would say, when the whole village would bow at my feet. So Iyanu did something shocking. One day, she married all the men in the village. Akin, the strong farmer, Tunde, the charming trader, Kolapo, the quiet fisherman, even Baba Lawal, the wise village chief. Each marriage was grand, each man devoted to her. But each one only lasted a few months before she moved on to the next. And the village, they watched in disbelief. No one dared to question her. After all, who could resist a woman like her? But little did Iyanu know, there are always consequences for selfish actions. It's a sunny afternoon. Iyanu, dressed in a bright, colorful dress, walks down the village path. She smiles at the men, all of whom watched her admired. For a while, everything seemed perfect. Iyanu moved from one marriage to the next, always more beautiful, always more powerful in the eyes of the village. But things began to change. The men started whispering. They no longer spoke of their love for her. Rather, they spoke of their anger. She had turned their hearts to stone. Akin, her first husband, angrily said, "Is it not me she married first? And now she leaves me for Tunde. How many more men will she take as husbands?" Kolapo, her second husband, softly replied, "She's a dangerous woman. I should have known from the beginning. She doesn't love any of us. She only loves herself." But still, Iyanu didn't see the problem. She thought she could keep going, marrying whoever she pleased, taking whatsoever she wanted. The village, the men, they were her playground. But with each new marriage, something darker began to stir. The curse. Night falls. Iyanu sits in front of her hut, combing her hair by the fire. The air feels heavy. Suddenly, Baba Lawal, her husband, enters. His face stained, voice low, almost whispering, said to Iyanu, "Iyanu, you have taken the hearts of many men, but you have also broken them. The spirits of our ancestors do not take kindly to the games you play." "Baba, you are old. Why speak of spirits and curses? I am young and beautiful. The gods themselves must favor me." But Baba Lawal was not laughing. He stepped closer to Iyanu, his eyes burning with ancient wisdom. "The spirits will find you, Iyanu. You cannot play with hearts and not face the consequences. I warn you, the price of your pride will rip you off your glory." The next day, the village is buzzing. The men begin to act strangely. They stopped speaking to Iyanu. Their faces are dark, their eyes filled with resentment. Iyanu's beauty seems to lose its power. One by one, the men began to withdraw from her. Aki, who had once been her most devoted husband, now refused to look her way. Tunde, the charming trader, no longer brought her gifts. Kolapo, the quiet fisherman, left the village and never returned. Iyanu felt it. Something was wrong. Then on the third day, it happened. Iyanu stands at the center of the village, waiting for the men to greet her as they always did. But they did not. A heavy silence fills the air. She approaches Baba Lawal, confused. "Baba, what have you done? Why do they not look at me? Why have they turned their backs?" "You have broken the hearts of too many, Iyanu. The spirits are angry. They have taken your beauty from you. No one can love a woman who only loves herself. Your charm is gone." As Baba Lawal spoke, something began to change. Iyanu's skin, once smooth and glowing, began to dull. Her hair, once thick and shining, began to fall. Her eyes, once filled with mischief, grew cold and empty. The men saw it. The magic that once made her untouchable was now gone. Iyanu fell to her knees, her hands trembling as she looked at her reflection in a nearby pond. "Ah, what is this that has happened to me?" Iyanu now stands before the village, her beauty faded, her pride broken. The men and women gathered around her, staring. She walked slowly towards Baba Lawal, her head bowed. "I have been foolish. I thought my beauty would protect me. I thought I could have everything without consequences. But now, I see, the gods are not to be mocked." And so, the woman who once married all the men in the village found herself alone. The spirits of the ancestors had taken away her beauty, her power, her pride. She had learned the hard way that vanity, pride, and selfishness always come with a price. The village of Arogbo returned to normal. The men, though hot, moved on. They found new wives and their hearts healed. But Iyanu, the woman who thought she could have it all, spent her days alone, reflecting on her action. The lesson was clear. No one can escape the consequences of their actions, no matter how beautiful, no matter how powerful they think they are. The end.
It was 2 days to our traditional marriage. My husband and his people were already in my village. They lodged in an hotel close to our house. We were all very busy that we had no time to rest or see each other. After a busy day, I decided to go and call my twin sister, who said she wanted to charge her phone in that same hotel room. And my wedding dress was still with the fashion designer. I took my sister to Austin's room to charge her phone while I rushed out to get my wedding gown from my fashion designer. While on my way, I discovered I left my phone in the hotel room, so I decided to rush back to pick it. Immediately I got to the hotel, I walked towards Austin's room. I heard,
"Hi," a rough masculine voice greeted Victoria over her shoulder. It was a cold, windy night. She was alone. Not that she came to the spiritual ship cruise alone. She had company, and it was family. Victoria turned and smiled at the man. He was beautiful. God, his cheekbone was well carved. His tiny, well-trimmed beard went about its fine business over his face. His thick black hair was a perfect coiffure. His shirt wasn't fully buttoned, and so she could tell the man was well built. He wore a plain sky blue shirt on white shorts. He was a living confirmation that Christian men weren't boring. "Hello," Victoria responded as she put her eyes and instincts to work in seconds. "Gosh, he's fine." Her mind yelled, but she composed herself and stood there in all her elegance. "I'm Blake Harrison Jacob," he told her, stretching his hand for a handshake. She took his big hand into hers as they kept staring into each other's brown eyes. Victoria could tell she was in his thoughts, his breath, in his soul. In 3 seconds, he exhaled 5 times. She could tell he was into her as much as she was into him. Who wouldn't be? She was beautiful, fragile, but well built. She looked like she was a model from Somalia.